Hey guys, Gary Box here. So today I wanted to talk to you guys about something I've had come up a couple of times recently. And so I want to talk about light direction and cross lighting. So I've got a lovely model here who's very cooperative, but actually the white styrofoam is great because we can really see and analyze the light patterns. And that's kind of what I want to talk about a little bit. Now, what we have right here is something I see commonly done that's in error. You have one light on one side and one light on the other side of the camera. And what happens is you start getting what we call cross lighting. Now, if I turn these lights off for a second, and I'm going to step out of the frame. In fact, I'm even going to zoom in so that you can see our lovely model and the light a little bit better. Now, if I turn off one of the lights, you'll notice that this light is casting a no shadow to one side. And if we turn the other back on, sorry for walking back and forth in front of the camera, and we turn this one off, now we see that this light is casting a no shadow in the opposite directions. And what we have here is cross lighting. Even with both lights on, we've got a little bit of a shadow on each side from the nose. And that's not really ideal. You also look at, if you look at the speculars, if there's any shine to the skin, we have highlights on both sides. And it's just not your ideal lighting pattern. Now, whether you're using two lights in the studio, like a softbox or an umbrella on each side, or if you're working outdoors and you're putting a reflector on the other side of your subject. So instead, what I'd like you to go for is more of a gradation of light. Now watch what happens. I'm going to take this light, move it a little more to the side, and then instead of putting the fill light on the opposite side of the camera, we're actually going to put it on the same side of the camera. And let me zoom back here so you can see where the lights are. Okay, so here are our two lights. You almost can't see them. There is one and then the other. Now, whenever we start lighting from one side, what you're going to see is now we have a much smoother gradation of light, starting light, going to medium, and fading across. The light just wraps around our subject in a much, much prettier manner. We only have one nose shadow going, and it's a little bit more defined. It allows the face to fall into shadow. We can really begin to see the shape of this face much better, and it becomes much more three-dimensional by lighting from one side and wrapping around. That's something I'd really like you guys to start working for and working towards. So it makes a really big difference. Put your lights on both sides. One of them, your fill light, would be close to the camera axis. The second light, your main light, would be further off to the side. And here I'm gonna move to the side here and zoom back again so you can kind of see these light positions. Now, here I'm just using LED panels, which work great for the video, but I also want to be able to go upstairs, and I want to show you this same effect with a reflector in a moment. So I'm going to pause and set up back upstairs, and we'll look at this from a natural light and reflector standpoint as well. Okay guys, so now we're in our north light studio. We've got north window lights here that are giving a great light, and we have our mirror reflector over here on the opposite side bouncing it in. Now, even though we're working with windows and a mirror, by putting them on opposite sides like this, which is commonly done with a reflector, we're still getting that same cross-lighting effect. Let's zoom in on our subject here. Now, it's not quite as strong because there's such a difference in the power between the two light sources, but we can still begin to see, you see the double speculars that are going on in the face? It's still just not an ideal thing. So a lot of people have asked, Gary, what do you do with a reflector? How do you put it on the same side? Well, it's actually pretty easy. I'm going to zoom back out. And so instead of putting it on the opposite side over here, bouncing light back in, we're actually going to put it very near the camera axis, catching light from the window. You guys see now? And of course for our shot we would be zoomed in past the mirror. So now look at the pretty gradation of light that we have. So see, again, we're going from brighter, gradually going over to darker, and we're picking up so much more real three-dimensional shape out of our subject by doing it this way. So even using a reflector, which is the fill and the window is the main, I'm still putting them on the same side of the camera to get this lovely wraparound. And again, just to show you the comparison, I'm going to move it back. Now, look across the shoulders and at the top of the bust line too. Watch what happens. See there? And then when we bring it back over here, again, we're seeing much prettier shape by having both of those on the same side of the camera. Now start thinking of your light in layers, because light is additive. We have our window light, or our main light, is lighting here, and then our reflector or our fill light is lighting here, and then when we get over here there's not really any significant light. So we're getting these layers of light wrapping around. Same thing if you're working in the studio. One light here, one light here, you're going to get these layers of light. Now one common practice like we do downstairs in the strobe room is our fill light is directly behind the camera. So this allows me to be able to light from either side and still be able to work, but we're still going to get those layers of light because one light is flat on here, one light is from either this side or from this side, but either way they're going to build up and they're not coming in from opposite sides. So I hope that helps you understand a little bit more about cross lighting and why we should avoid it. So start putting your reflector on the same side as your subject, as your light source is. And you know, if we were using a softbox here, we could still position this light right in front of the softbox to catch some of its, or this reflector in front of the softbox to catch some of its light and bounce it back in from a more frontal direction. So, okay, if you guys have questions, list them in the comments below on the ITB page, and I hope you guys have an awesome weekend. Take care.